And so I found some interesting connections between the dates of September 19th, October 2nd, October 29th, and October 30th. And I want to share with you in this study. So the first date of September 19th was the matching date on God's calendar of the Feast of Trumpets. And the Feast of Trumpets has some very unique significance. Well, the significance of this date has to do with the birth of Yahushua. As Sister Sherry told us, his birth, well, he wasn't born in December. He was born in September. He was born during Rosh Hashanah, at this time, Feast of Trumpets. Now, if you'll notice in Revelation 12:2, it doesn't say that the child is waiting to be delivered, but it says that the woman is. And she, being with child, travailing in birth, in pain to be delivered. She, pain to be delivered. Well, if we now turn to Leviticus 12, verses 2 and 4, we can read about the stipulations on a woman and when she can be considered clean to go into the sanctuary. It says, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed, born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation. For her infirmities shall she be unclean. And she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 33 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled." So if we go from September 19th, 2021, 41 days, day number 41 would be October 29th, 2021. That date would match on God's calendar in the month of Bull, the 8th month, on the 11th day. And it would be the official day of when Luke 2:22 and 23 tells us, when the days of her purification, Mary's, according to the law of Moses were accomplished, they brought him, Yahushua, to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. As it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord. And as James 1:18 says, of his own will begot he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. Yes, we are brought unto him. He basically gives birth to us with the truth. We are his first fruits. Now, re-looking at the timing of when Yahushua was born, Rosh Hashanah, Feast of Trumpets, if we then look at Luke 22 and 23, that says, "And the Holy Ghost descended in a bodily shape like a dove upon him. And a voice came from heaven which said, Thou art my beloved Son, in thee I am well pleased." Yahushua himself began to be about 30 years of age. And as the word began, G756 means to begin, to commence. Well, at 30 years old, he begins to commence to 30 years of age on the Feast of Trumpets, Rosh Hashanah, when I do believe he was baptized. And immediately after being baptized, Luke 4:1 and 2 tells us that he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, being 40 days tempted of the devil. And in those days he did eat nothing. When they were ended, he afterwards hungered. Now the word hunger, G3983, means to crave ardently, to seek with eager desire. And this hunger, this desire, reminds me of Luke 22:15 through 16, Matthew 26:29, that says, "And he said unto them, with desire, I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I say unto you, I will not any more eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of God. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." I think Yahushua has hungered, desired for this day, as so have we. And this day very well could be day number 41, which matches with the 11th day again of the month, the 8th month of Bull. And on the Gregorian calendar would be October 29th. And so it's interesting to note also that the 8th month of Bull is H945, meaning to increase, produce, same as H944, produce, outgrowth, for H2981, produce, fruit. And it's from H2986, meaning to bring forth, lead away, carry away, conduct, bear along. Very appropriate. And in regards to this word increase, looking at Jeremiah 23:3, it says, "I myself will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries where I have driven them, and will bring them back to their pasture, where they will be fruitful and increase in number." And also Zechariah 10:8 says, "I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them, and they shall increase as they have increased." And the word hiss is translated in the Strong's as H8319, meaning to hiss, whistle, pipe, to hiss as a signal. Now we read in Haggai 2:1 that in the 7th month, in the 21st day of the month, came the word of the Lord by the prophet Haggai, saying, "For thus saith the Lord of hosts, yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land, and I will shake all nations, and the desire of all nations shall come. I will fill this house with glory, saith the Lord of hosts. The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts. The glory of this latter house shall be greater than of the former, saith the Lord of hosts. And in this place will I give peace, saith the Lord of hosts." Now, although the shaking doesn't happen then, instead it happens in a little while, we know it's coming. And likewise, we were told on the 14th day of the 7th month, which was October 2nd on the Gregorian calendar, we're told in Enoch 60, as I've pointed out before, of a heavenly quaking and 2 monsters being released. And that was told on the 7th day of the 14th month. So either that happened, or we just haven't seen it yet, or it's still going to be happening in a little while. Now, on the Gregorian calendar, the 21st day of the 7th month is coming up on October 9th. And at that time, I still don't think just a little while isn't going to be there yet. And this is where I like to bring up one other connection with October 2nd and October 30th. Because as we know, on that date of October 2nd, which matched with the 14th day of the 7th month, Enoch was told about a quaking and a trembling in heaven. Also in the movie Donnie Darko, that was the date, October 2nd, that he heard the world was going to end. When he actually heard the world will end, he heard it from a rabbit that said, will end in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. It's a spoof of Donald Trump on Saturday Night Live. Alex Baldwin says, does anyone else see this rabbit? I think this might be a Donnie Darko situation. And it's interesting to note that when the rabbit is unveiled, he takes off his head, and what does he have but a head wound? And so as we get closer in the movie to the date that was mentioned, the end date of 28 days, we can see that the date is actually October 30th that they're talking about. Not only was there the quote of the world's gonna end, but a quote of the sky's gonna open up. Remember, this movie says the world will end at the 6-hour time. And we are told, and of course they know it, unlike the standard modern 12-hour clock that assigns 12 o'clock p.m. for noontime, in the ancient Jewish tradition, noontime was always the 6th hour of the day, whereas the first hour began with the break of dawn. And boy, Psalms 91, in particularly these verses that I'm going to point out to you first, verses 3 through 6, really sounds like what we expect to happen. We head out, they come in. Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. Of course, that's been the COVID. And of course, the snare from the fowler has been the vaccine they've been trying to force upon us. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flieth by day, nor the pestilence that walks in the darkness, nor the destruction that lays waste at noonday. Noonday. 1,000 shall fall by your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Verse 7 through 8. And of course, don't you see this now? The 29th into the 30th. We're leaving, they're coming in. It's interesting to note that on the 30th, we see that Venus is in transit into the constellation of Sagittarius, which of course is that representation of the horse and the bow and the arrow. He's our arrow, we're the bow. Sagittarius, the white horse, Venus, EP. Yes, we're headed homeward bound. So once again, back to the day that very well could be. Again, these are all speculations. The 11th day of the 8th month on God's calendar, and October 29th on the Gregorian calendar. We see and read in 1 Kings 6:38, and in the 11th year, in the month Bull, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout, all the parts thereof, and according to all the fashion of it. So was he, 7 years in building it. And if we look at the usage of the word year, H8141, it is as a division of time. So it could be a year or any time. But with H3117, take a look at what it does indeed say. H3117 means day, time, year. So I ponder whether or not this could actually mean in the 11th day in the month of Bull, which is the 8th month. Was the house finished throughout? And so in closing, just a couple more points. So I wonder if these dates are connected in some other ways and can reveal things through the Strong's Concordance and Jewish gematria. So let's take a look at this. First, with September 19th, the KJV translates Strong's H919 in the following manner. And it means breach, and it's from H918, meaning to mend, repair. In Jewish gematria, it equals my begotten son and birthday celebration. These findings are very appropriate, as Isaiah 58, 8 through 10 says, Then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. Then shalt thou call, and the Lord shall answer. Thou shalt cry, and he shall say, Here I am. If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, the putting forth of the finger, and the speaking vanity, and if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry, and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. And then in verse 12 it says, And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. And in Psalms 2, 6 through 7 we read, Yet I have set my king on my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord has said to me, You are my son. Today I have begotten you. And of course that day matched with the Feast of Trumpets, the first day of the 7th month, and Yahushua's birth date. And in regards to October 2nd, 10-2, Abaddon in Jewish gematria equals 102. Dagon in Jewish gematria equals 102. And in the Strong's Concordance, G1002, in the following manner, it means dart. And so very fitting, again, Abaddon, related to the king, the locusts, king of the locusts coming in, and with the dart, the actual vaccines, the shots being put into the temples, the bodily temples. And if we look at the Strong's Concordance, G1002, is dart, like I think of a shot, a vaccine shot, and in Hebrew it's 1002, temple, right into our temple. Next, October 29th, in Jewish gematria, 1029 equals Donald Trump, Antichrist. 1029 equals Abaddon, the destroyer. 1029 equals terrible day of the Lord. Also in the Strong's Concordance, Greek, 1029 is a noose, a snare. And finally, October 30th, the KJV translates Strong's G130 in the following manner: a gnashing of teeth. And in Matthew 24:51, we read, "And shall cut him asunder and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And this is all about the unwise that are left behind after the wise leave. We then can see that H1030 means Beth Shemite or Beth Shemeshite, house of the sun, an inhabitant of Beth Shemesh. And in Jewish gematria, it means your inheritance. Psalms 33:12 tells us, "Blessed is the nation, whose God is the Lord, and the people whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance." And yes, house of the sun, very appropriate. EP, second son, Yahuwah's throne in the sun. Going home soon. As always, Father's will be done.